All right, South Florida, Louisville. We've got Louisville here in this one, laying a sizable number, 13-point home favorite, 63.5 the total. I like the Bulls a little bit here. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm leaning USF. I'm leaning South Florida here. I've been anti-Louisville. And look, they took my money 1 week with UCF when I took UCF against Louisville, and Louisville won that game 20-14. But I got it back last week with Florida State taking care of business against Louisville, 35-31. Defense struggled in that game. The offense was okay. The key here for South Florida is, are you going to be able to contain this defense? And the one thing that does worry me a little bit for South Florida is the run defense. 124th against the run, 234 yards per game allowed against the run. And that's exactly where Louisville's strength is. So I do get concerns about that. I'm also concerned about, look, they hung in there with Florida. They gave it a great effort. 31-28, 23-point underdogs, wire-to-wire point spread cover in that game. Is there anything left in the tank? They emptied the gas tank, for that rivalry game or that game against Florida, the big bad Gators. And, is there anything left for South Florida now having to go on the road a second straight week here against this Louisville team? Put it this way, South Florida pass. I'm not laying 13 with Louisville. I know that for sure. The question is, do I want to take South Florida? And I'm leaning that way, but the spot concerns me. The run defense concerns me. The offense, though, is showing some signs, a little bit. Bohannon, lost the job at Baylor to Blake Shapen, but slowly but surely he's starting to come around and get a little bit more comfortable for this offense under Jeff Scott. It's still work in progress, but it's going to be important for them to run the football as well. Brian Batty's been good running the football for this team. And Louisville's run defense, when I look at their numbers so far against the run, they're giving up 203 rushing yards per game. That's why I think South Florida can hang in this game. They've got to be able to run the football to be effective. And Louisville's run defense has struggled. So that's why I think South Florida, maybe with plus 13, can hang in there. And when you hear me talking about this game, Conor Mack, I keep talking about how, Louisville should be able to run the ball. South Florida can't stop the run. South Florida should be able to run the ball. Louisville struggled to stop the run. Shouldn't that point you toward the over as well? Maybe. Maybe I'm leaning that way as well. What do you think here, C-Mac? South Florida, Louisville.
Yeah, let's touch on the total. I think it can get over, but when we start hit the 64s here it's pushing it. But South Florida's defense is horrible. Yeah, and Florida, they played everything in that game. But I got to give a shout out to South Florida's kicker, because I made that bet earlier in the week, that first half with Florida, and a guy nailed a 50-yarder for them to cover that first half bet. The second half was even better. Florida, I don't know what they were doing, just asleep at the wheel, because South Florida, from every stat, 127th in defense, rush defense. You were going through that just a minute ago. I'd like more than 14 here, that's for sure. But I think South Florida is a little bit of the side. I've been impressed with Bohannon. They were able to move the ball well last week. I just have visions of that defense. It just scares the shit out of me. I mean, could see Cunningham just slicing them up. Louisville's defense has been good in certain situations, that second half versus UCF, and at times against Florida State. So I'm with you. I'd lean to the dog a little bit with South Florida. And yeah, the only place to be is to look over, but this total might be too high.
Yeah, the total is high, 63.5. But the more I look at it, we've got two offenses heavily skewed to the run. Both of them run the football a lot more. Both of them are better at running than throwing, and both of these teams are worse defensively against the run than the pass. So it does feel like an over matchup. It really does. That both teams should be able to run the football, do what they do best. But the question is it's still a high number. You need a good deal of efficiency to get over the number.